Hi, how's everyone out there doing today? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project, and The Consummate Communicator, Character Traits of True Professionals. I am here with Kiasha, and I am super excited about this experience with her. She is going to be sharing with us about her book, and her book is pretty interesting compared to many of the books. Because it really talks a lot about love. And I know that often love is not something people are comfortable with. And what I'm doing right now is I'm putting her Facebook for K Hill 30 days into the banner here so people can reach her when they want to. But can you share with us today, especially today in the United States of America, it's Inauguration Day. A lot of people, I think they need some extra love. Can you share with us how we can be better at self love?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me. I was super excited. Second of all, self-love is ongoing. I actually just had this conversation. It is one step at a time, one day at a time, how you speak to yourself. It is ongoing. And especially, like you said, at times like now, where, there is always some form of chaos. I think step one is to even acknowledge yourself, because self-love is only after self-awareness. So we have to start to re-get to know ourselves. The 20-year-old us and the 40-year-old us are two totally different beings. So I think step one is re-getting to know yourself, setting new goals for yourself, actually, seeking out whatever you need to do to attain those new goals, and then setting ones after that. It's just a process, but we have to actually do the work.
No, I think that's so important. That point that you just made about self love and self awareness being interconnected. A lot of
Mhm.
people, they don't really know themselves. So it's really hard for them to love themselves. And
Absolutely.
you took this amazing journey. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, it originated because my best friend and I are both single moms. And so it originated by us literally doing an itemized list of 30 different things to do for ourselves, because we found ourselves literally never doing anything for us. And that catapulted into someone saying to me, "You need to create a book." Well, my friend said, "Oh, I'm definitely not going to be a part of that, Kiasha. You do it." Which was fine, because as you can see, I'm not shy. And so I met a guy who is fabulous. His name is AJ Joyner, and he helped me to get the book in an actual writing format. He helped me to figure out, how I wanted to do it. And the rest is history. Because it's just a story that I knew needed to be told. It's not really a story, it's a journey. And also, I'm a transparent person, and I wanted people to feel like I was doing it with them. It's a journey that we're taking together. Because, like you said, self awareness is step one. You have to even acknowledge that you don't have self love.
Kiasha, a really, really powerful point. And it's interesting. The first speaker we had this morning, Hassani Patel out of South Africa, she brings up the same point that a lot of women were really, really hard on ourselves in
Mhm.
particular, and we're not willing to admit that self love. And then we had a second speaker, and it really resonated, where it was just very powerful. Michael Faber, who's a coach, and he said, "I love myself." And I said, I don't know I've ever heard a man actually admit that and say that in a way that wasn't conceited or egotistical, but that sense of loving yourself, flaws and all.
hmm And I'm glad you made that point, because he's a man. Someone asked me in an interview once, "Is my book only for women?" And it's not. There is no, every gender needs to know to love themselves. Relationships would be better if both people were self-aware. We would be better parents if you're self-aware, because it's like there is no limit to how much you can love yourself, and we'll teach it to our children so that when they do, get into a great relationship, they don't self-sabotage because they don't think they're worthy. All of those things tie into self-love.
And it's such an important concept, love, and people often shy away from it. People often just focus on romantic love.
Mhm.
And I know that we talked for the preparation for this, but
Mhm.
one of the things that I think is just really powerful for me in my life is I talk about, like I have one goal, and it's to just love my fellow man. And I
Mhm.
fail. I fail on a regular basis. I get annoyed with people. I say hurtful
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
I lose my patience. And loving yourself, and then that has to go to the next step of love people around you and pay it forward.
Absolutely. Pay it forward. That's actually one of the things I put in my book. It was, a situation where I was in the line at Dunkin' Donuts. No, it was McDonald's. And the person in front of me paid for my food. And so I noticed that I hear a lot of people say that people do that at Dunkin' Donuts. The person in front will pay for your food, and then you're supposed to pay for the person behind you because you're constantly paying it forward. And I think that concept alone is awesome. Like imagine if everyone thought like that. This person was really good to me. Let me make sure that even if I can't do something great for that person, that I reach out, I go out of my way. I say this word a lot, intentional. You have to really be intentional about, like you said, loving not only yourself, but caring about other people, caring about, seeing them meet their goals if you're able, helping them to meet their goals. You have to be intentional about all of that.
So you mentioned a little bit about how you and your girlfriend got this going.
Mm-hmm.
Then you met somebody else who helped inspire you. And it's so much also of that story of how people paying it forward, people sharing with you led to the point where you're here right now.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. It is. And that's exactly my point. People paying it forward is how I met AJ Joyner, my writing coach. Someone actually sent me his Instagram information, one of my friends. People paying it forward is how I got my book launch done. It has literally been almost like a thing. Like if I wasn't a believer before, I'm definitely a believer now. Because, oftentimes we don't do certain things or we're afraid to do certain things because we think that if we jump, we won't we'll fall, there won't be a parachute. But what I found to be true is that if you jump, parachutes will literally fall in your lap along the way. You just literally have to take that first step.
So much, many of the authors today have come up with the same points that you have, that you just got to do it. You've got to take that leap of faith to put
Mm-hmm.
yourself out there. And so when you
Absolutely.
wrote 30 Days, it is somewhat of a love letter to yourself.
That is
Uh,
a good way to put it. Yeah, I love that. That is, I do. I love that because I didn't think of it in that way. But I will, because it is like, it's essentially, because this, just because I wrote it, it is essentially a gift. That's why it has a bow, because I wanted it to be a gift. You're giving yourself the gift. And I didn't think of it in a way of I'm writing a love letter to me. But that is a really good, I like that. That's really good.
No, when I saw it, that was my I skimmed through what I can, and I just thought, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, it's such a beautiful way for you, like you might write that love letter to your partner, or maybe as you get older when your parents hit a milestone birthday or something like that. But we
Mhm.
don't take that time to love ourselves. We don't take that time to, like you might overlook the flaws that your parents had raising you. And it's
Mhm.
really great. Our last speaker, Sarah, she talked about how in Cambodia, after she was reunited with her family, how, she forgave them for everything, all the stuff that
Mhm.
you always are angry with your parents about. And so
Mhm.
often as we get older, we overlook the things that happened in our past with our parents because we realize that that time on earth is precious.
It is.
And it's easy to love your children because, it's
Mhm.
just what we do. But
Mhm.
it's hard to love yourself. And I think
It.
taking that time.
Mhm. And like you said, it is essential that we give ourselves a break. I was actually thinking of it when I was getting ready for the interview. I said, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about, okay, am I nervous? No, I'm not, because I am, as you know, a people person. But then I'm like, okay, so I told myself, I want you to make sure that you say this to the authors that may get interviewed after you and they're watching. Let them know, just relax. And that's really a mantra for life. Relax. You got this. And even if you don't have it and you fail, you live to do it again. Like, you have this. We are so hard on ourselves, and I'm included. This is a daily battle. I want to make $1 million and lose 80 pounds by tomorrow. Like, it is a daily battle. It is. I want to expose my son to everything. I want him to be cultured. I want him to be a gentleman. I want to do a lot in this moment. And I have to pace myself and just, think one thing at a time, one moment at a time. Order of priority. That's another thing that's huge. Order of importance. If, you have 12 things on the list and only 2 of them are important, focus on those 2 things. But all of that wraps up in self-care, so that you don't want to jump because you have so much on your plate. All of that is self-care.
No, and it's a really good point about what, like, we strive for that perfection when sometimes good enough is good enough. I do the 24 authors in 12 hours. It's a passion project. And, for the last speaker, there was a little bit of technical difficulty. And here I am just like stressed out, like, oh my gosh, this isn't working. And I'm like, Amy, who's going to notice this but you and the speaker? Exactly. The audience, it's going to come out. So take that deep breath and then just go on and do the best performance in the amount of time you have left. And that is so much better than when you get frustrated and then you're coming across as angry or inauthentic. And I think people can tell if you don't have that and if you're genuine.
Yes. And that's actually a major thing. I have a point to that. So I was thinking, as I put on my pearls for Kamala today, I was thinking, 50 years ago, people could not conceive of there being an African-American and Asian vice president. I was listening to a couple of your speakers and they were talking about, slavery, they all had different genres. I love what you're doing, by the way. I love it. But everybody had a different genre. And I was just thinking about how everything is about perspective. And if you forget everybody else, if you can convince yourself that you are capable of accomplishing anything, that's why I'm wearing my pearls, because nobody believed that we can have an African-American vice president. And guess what? I didn't believe that I would be an author because of what other people told me. And so, just like you said, everything's about perception. If you can wrap your mind around this great thing, you are interviewing 24 authors and you decided to do it, and technical difficulties and all, it's happening. And it's great. You know what I mean? Like, most people wouldn't think to even do that. And you thought of it and you executed it. So we have to really monitor our self-talk too, our positive self-talk. Like, yeah, look in the mirror. I got this. Yes, I got this. It's happening. We have to really monitor that.
So important. And the 24 authors in 12 hours, this is my 3rd full session. And, I'm already scheduling the February, March, time frames. And you look at it and it came about because we authors in this time right now, it was like, how do you get the word out about these books, these amazing authors? And we don't have the book festivals right now. We don't have the ability to go and do a book signing. And so this came about. And at first I was kind of like, oh, I was really, disappointed. But now, like today, I talked to an author from New Zealand. I talked to an author from India. And it just really, if you switch your view, your perspective, changes everything.
It does. Because not only, here's the thing, we're talking about authors and you're talking to authors, and both of us are published authors. But you got to think of how many people will see this and have something, even if it's not writing, that they're sitting on, or that every time they get the opportunity to pursue it, they tell themselves what they can't do. And just as you said, like we were talking about the technical difficulties, I actually had a few. But just as that happened, that is, to me, that's a sign that you should do it anyway. Like, if you're afraid of it, do it anyway. But you said it's all about perception.
So Leah Tran and I had that same discussion about even if you're afraid, do it anyways. And she is a survivor, and she managed to escape communist Vietnam. And phenomenal story of don't miss the boat. We are over halfway through, and talking to you is so easy. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize we were like, I was like, I have these little reminders that pop up, and it's like, oh, what are you bothering me for? And so wow, time is flying by. And we get a lot of little hearts and stuff up there. People like you.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't see them, but hey, everybody.
So one of the things I normally try to get out there is that my books, today's January 20th, Inauguration Day, in case you're watching this in a future recording. And my books are available for Kindle download free all day. Please go ahead, download those books, make that a gift to yourself. And check them out, because they're short little business leadership fables. And my first book, The Project Manager, Life is a Project, I think really ties a lot to some of the things we're talking about. Absolutely. Because it's all about how each one of us, we only get one life, and how do we use that very precious resource.
That's right. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. You only get one life. And you're, even for the people who believe that they're going to come back as something else, you're only going to be you once. And so live it to the fullest. I always say there's no regrets. Good, better, and different. Every experience, is a blessing and a lesson. No regrets.
So I'm going to put the link to your book on Amazon out here. And I know that you said your website was in progress, but it wasn't quite ready. Is that where we're at still?
I'm actually adding some things to my website so people can go to Amazon and purchase the book. I'm available on Facebook at K-Will. Okay, you're going to put it in the...
It's right on the ticker at the bottom.
Yeah, it's going to be at the bottom, guys. I'm actually available on Instagram as well. I am going to, for the first 2 people that follow me on Instagram, I'm going to give them a free copy of my book. So,
and what's your Insta handle?
It's at K-Will 30 Days to Love Me on Instagram.
30 Days to Love Me.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important concept. Just love yourself.
That's it. And like I said earlier, self-talk, to me, if I had a takeaway from this conversation, I would just say, monitor what you say to yourself. Because it can start there. It can start, you don't have to go to the spa every day. Just monitor what you say to yourself. Monitor how you treat yourself. Because once you perfect that, then it'll come natural. People are only going to treat you like you treat yourself. Monitor what you do for yourself, how much time you take for yourself. All of those things matter in the greater scheme of things, because it all chimes in. Your relationships, your marriage, all of that works together. And if you don't love you and have great self-awareness, it is not going to be a good experience. And it doesn't have to be like that.
So you just brought up this whole, what do you say to yourself? What do you tell women when you hear them make those negative statements? I can't tell you how many times I've heard girlfriends or even just people in a shop or something and just be like, oh, I'm an idiot. Or what do you say to these women?
Well, I always say I'm like a tough love friend. And I would imagine my friends think that, because my thought process is, like, who are you not to think that you're excellent? Who are you not to believe that you're great? What do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? Because we all make mistakes. That does not deem us as stupid. We all have had bad experiences. That does not mean life is over. So unless you perish in that moment, you have the opportunity to make things right. And so I guess I would say get it together, because tomorrow exists. There is a tomorrow. You have the opportunity to write this thing and make it. And I won't even call it a wrong. I was going to say write this wrong, but I won't call it a wrong, because I just believe that your experiences create who you'll be, who you'll become. So I don't want to think it's a mistake. I want to know that, oh, this happened. Oh, no wonder why I'm great.
That's so powerful. And I'm going to give a little shout out to my sister-in-law. Hopefully she's watching this episode, or I'm going to make her watch it later, because she's just phenomenal. And when I got divorced from her brother, it was, a little bit of a challenge. And we talked about it. And, there's no way, or maybe there is a way, I don't know. But, in this world, the universe to connect us, I thought I was marrying her brother, and that was the purpose of that relationship. But really, it was to have this phenomenal relationship with her, and to have this with my, it's something that you don't necessarily expect in life.
Absolutely.
And you think you're going into it for some reason, and you realize there was a lesson I needed to learn. There were people I needed to meet, and it might be a tough lesson. It might be that lesson that knocks you down on the floor.
Absolutely. And I want to add one other thing before we have to go. You said there were lessons you needed to learn and people that you needed to meet, but also there were people that needed to meet you. There were people who didn't think that they can survive this thing, didn't think that they could pass that class or get that promotion. And just in hearing you speak, you may have altered the direction of their lives. You just never know. And so I think that that's very important. That's what my whole point. Every situation or relationship happens for a reason. Everything.
No, it's really true. One of our authors earlier today, oh my gosh, she writes Chomper the Bearded Dragon and the Patchland series. And the reason why she started writing is because her son had an eye condition. And another kid kind of made fun of him, not realizing how hurtful it would be, because he had to wear an eye patch. And who knew that this interaction in a store could then go ahead and launch an entire book series and part of her career. We are really coming to the end of the segment. I don't, these little pop-ups come up and tell me what to do. And I'm like, well, first of all, like, it controls me. But second of all, it's like, how did this get to be? Like, oh my gosh, like, we're at the 25-minute point. And gosh, I could talk to you all day long. But I do have.
That's okay. We'll do something else. That's okay.
It's okay. I got all these other authors I got to talk to. And so I'll be here. You can watch them, comment. I saw some of your comments earlier today. Thank you so much for your time. And what did we not cover that you wanted to talk about? Because I feel like we could just go on forever.
Well, we talked about everything. People know how to contact me. They know to purchase the book on Amazon. I do have a planner that will be released this year. But other than that, and that's still in the works, so I'll announce that on my social media handles. But other than that, Perfect. It's definitely been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, I say it too. Definitely go back and take a look, because I have not seen so many hearts in my little feed, and you're gonna walk away from here and be like, people love me. It's a love letter to myself. So thank you so much for your time. I truly just feel blessed that we've connected, and thank you for spending this precious time of your day with me.
Thank you for having me. And like I said, we'll be in touch. We have the same circles now, so we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.